It's impossible to forget. Everywhere you look in Puerto Rico, there are reminders. Damage from Hurricane Maria, from the coast in San Juan to the mountains in the center of the island. Almost 5 months after Maria, recovery efforts continue.
I was in Puerto Rico. Tonight we start in the city of Jayuya, where more than 50% of people there don't have power. However, they still have their fighting spirits.
How do you get by still on a daily basis? I mean, a week or two, yes, but for several months.
Hay que sobrevivir.
We have to survive.
La luz es muy importante.
The power is very important, and it's been tough.
Desperately waiting, wanting, even wishing, but never weakening. Carmen Montero, more than 4 months without power, one of thousands in Jayuya.
This is a lunchroom at a local elementary school where these kids are enjoying their meals without any lights.
It's been hard after the Hurricane Maria because we don't have power here. Sometimes we don't have water.
When you go about your lesson plans for the day, how do you change your approach with that?
Well, I try to make it as fun as possible because they have to forget at least a little bit of that, those problems they have.
Not only a teacher in the city's neighborhood of Mameas, Rivera is also a parent. Her daughter's school day shortened, some of her teachers fleeing because of the conditions.
Do you like coming to school?
Yeah, some of our teachers left. I don't have English class.
So what are the kids going to do?
Well, we're waiting for the Department of Education to name somebody else.
The search for answers ongoing. At City Hall, local leaders say their calls to authorities often go unanswered.
Who do you call? Like who do you try to get in touch with?
Okay, the mayor when they want to when they need to call to the director of the agency, they have the number, the direct number of that person. A lot of time that the person don't answer the call.
Residents who can help do. Hector Rivera's family owns this hardware store, one of a handful in the city.
This generator here, not only powering this hardware store now.
See, you see all the wiring?
The wiring taking it down, and then, as we were saying, powering
That building, which has medical offices.
Rivera says his dad had a gut feeling months ago something was coming. He acted and for 3 months provided power before it was restored in downtown. Montero and so many like her hope that someday soon their wish is granted and their wait finally ends.
What is that going to be like for you?
Wow, voy a gritar.
She said she's gonna scream.
Well, David Medina and his wife Gisela Rodriguez were in Tallahassee when the storm hit. They live here now, but that doesn't mean these Puerto Rico natives weren't hurting. In fact, they sprung into action asking you to donate supplies.
David then went door to door delivering them in their hometown in central Puerto Rico, but it's another life-altering experience that made that act of giving possible.
For me, I can say one word: magical.
Jayuya, Puerto Rico, where the mountains seem to kiss the sky, and where Maria left this.
You can sense the urgency. You can sense the need, the desperation. It's still here. It's still present. I felt it, and it hurts.
Especially because before it was simply family and love.
I have 11 brothers and sisters, and most of them are in Jayuya.
David's parents still live in the home he grew up in.
You must be very proud of your son.
And walking through downtown, we see where the two got married and the post office next to Gisela's grandmother's house that sealed the deal.
Ever since I can remember, I would always ask myself the question, I wonder who has P.O. Box 1? So I remember when I met David years later, I wanted to send him a Christmas card. And I asked him for his address. And he goes, David Medina, P.O. Box 1. I could not believe it.
Years later, it was another message David delivered that changed their lives again.
I told Gisela that I was a perfect match.
It was 2013. Their only daughter, Giselle, was 6 at the time. battling a rare blood disease.
When I got home and I told her I was the perfect match and they can take my bone marrow and cure Giselle. It's unbelievable.
Our life changed forever, forever. Because right then and there we understood that there was something more than just living your life just for yourself. And it's all about giving back.
They got that chance in 2017, late September in Tallahassee, collecting donations for Hayuya right after Maria.
I don't think people from Tallahassee even understand what they've done.
Yeah.
I don't think they don't understand the magnitude. Literally, they changed people's lives.
Then in November, David delivering those supplies to thousands, all driven by one.
See my daughter on the edge of death and then cure, then it just changes you of how you think or how you see everything.
Family and love, helping heal Hayuya.
Those supplies now in the hands of thousands of people in Hayuya, including one woman who lost almost everything. However, she refused to let Maria take it all.
To see the true pain,
I don't even know where to begin, what to tell you about this story.
of the real scars Maria left behind, just look.
From the beginning until now, it's a true miracle.
To Evelyn Rivera Molina.
I know it must be difficult to think back to that, but can you recall what it was like when Maria came here?
Evelyn remembers she and her husband Tony riding out the storm. Then,
Almost buried alive.
Almost buried their life.
This is Evelyn's house up here. The hillside came through the house, took Evelyn and her husband down this hill, across the road, and over here. Around 10 hours later, neighbors found her. Unfortunately, her husband wasn't as lucky.
She was saying to him, what is happening that Tony is not coming to help me?
Juan Candelario and his son Jonathan are neighbors. They spotted Evelyn.
Wow. And his nephew, he looked through the window and he told him, the nephew, that he saw a hand waving.
They say she was conscious, her left leg badly injured. She asked for a board to prop up her head to keep the water away so she could breathe. Then she asked for her husband.
That moment when he went and he saw her husband, Tony, and he checked his vital signals. And he put his ear in his heart. And he was dead.
So right then and there, she found out. But she was telling herself, you have to keep strong, you have to keep strong, you have to keep strong.
That's exactly what she did. And for the next 36 hours, battling heavy winds and rain, the Candelarios checked on Evelyn after moving her to a shelter at the bottom of the hill.
And then from that point on, every 2 hours, they will go there to see if she was still alive.
She was finally rushed to the hospital in Ponce, about 25 miles away. She'd leave there with another scar.
They amputated her leg almost 5 days later.
Maria taking her husband, leg, and home.
Through everything, looks like you still have a smile on your face. How?
Throughout all this, she's been talking to God. That when you put everything in God's hands, everything is going to be okay. You just have to have faith.
Evelyn refused to let Maria take her spirit.
Everything from water to diapers to batteries, a Tallahassee man delivering your donations right to their doors in Hayuya, Puerto Rico. Months later, they are still saying thank you.
What was he like when he was a niño?
Decades later, David Medina is still making people smile in his hometown.
When he coming over here, we said, oh my God, God's coming to Coyotes. This is the name is Coyotes. That's a good feelings.
Edgar Fonseca grinning ear to ear when David showed up at his home.
I got battery, I got food, I got water, I got everything that he can give us. He give it a lot.
Fonseca, one of thousands in Hayuya to benefit from all this. Collected in Tallahassee, shipped to San Juan, driven to Hayuya, 2 trucks full delivered to this makeshift warehouse, then door to door.
You walked up and down this street with David delivering supplies?
Yes, yes. We get supplies to everybody here. And we spend by 5 or 6 hours only on this area.
Jesus Marin Rivera, one of the many volunteers in Jayuya who helped David deliver in the most trying of times.
It's so difficult.
Is it because of what you saw?
Yes. But we got to go ahead, with the life.
In another part of town, this rec center continues giving out food and water.
So David, when you were here back in November delivering the supplies, what was this place?
Massive. I mean, the lines of people. First of all, the parking lot full of vehicles, and then the line of people were just amazing. Hundreds of people for them to get food right from that table right there.
Hundreds still coming each week. FEMA supplying goods when we were there, Tallahassee helping before that.
So in that line we had water, here we had the baby things, and here we had food from Tallahassee.
A sign we didn't forget about Puerto Rico.
What do signs like this mean to you here?
We feel very, very pleased and beloved in the Hurricane Maria. There have been many ways we prove that we are important for the Americans.
And to Tallahassee, they thank you.
I only tell you, God give you health, money, whatever you want, because that's for our heart. Thank you very much, people from Florida.
You put the smile back on their face.
You have helped them in that fight, donating supplies in their time of need.
However, the rebuilding process is still very much ongoing, as is the pipeline of support from Tallahassee to the central city of Jayuya. So what is this?
People that need roof repairs. They believe it's the most critical.
To see it on paper, daunting. But in person,
Really bad conditions, and for 3 months, he slept right here on this couch.
unfathomable. Reminders everywhere you look of what used to be, now reduced to nothing.
How have you mentally been doing this?
¿Cómo usted brega mentalmente con esta situación?
Pues, no hallo ni qué hacer.
He has no choice.
Homes all over Jayuya.
It really feels like we're on top of the world here, but even with beauty like this, we also see this. Homes that are in desperate need of repair.
City leaders saying thousands applied for relief, 1,500 still waiting for approval, hundreds of others already turned down.
They cannot verify that this is your housing. That you were not leaving the house when it happened.
This man appealing an initial denial from FEMA. He's lived here 30 years. It's on the same property as his sister's home, and his utility bill gets sent there. He lacks the necessary paperwork, a common theme among several people we talked to.
There is large need. We're looking at about 60 to 80 people a day.
Pedro Rodriguez heads FEMA's Disaster Recovery Center in Jayuya. It opened January 12th. Rodriguez says home repair and housing assistance are the greatest needs.
We do a full case review to make sure that, number one, nothing's being missed, and number two, that if a document is missed, like for example, sometimes it's just a matter of providing their driver's license with a social security card so that we can verify their identification. Simple things like that, we can make copies and submit it on their behalf.
It gives me chills, to see these houses, and some of them we might be able to do something about it.
David Medina, his wife Gisela Rodriguez, and you helped from Tallahassee. The couple planning a return trip to fix these homes. Big Bend Habitat for Humanity helping too.
It's going to be quite a task. I mean, the complexity of just everyday aspects of building, delivery of materials, in and out, is going to be complex. But one thing that is evident in all of these structures, some of the creativity, is the resiliency of the Puerto Rican people. So it can be done. We're going to do it.
5 months after Maria, people like this need help now.
And this house has been in the family for over 100 years.
Could you ever think about leaving?
No.
broken, but it's still home.